What's going on, guys? Kalamazi here, and today I want to give you all a quick look at how gearing is going to be in Season 2, which is applicable to every class in the game. Whether you're a tank, a healer, or a DPS, gearing has become much easier in S2 11.1 Liberation of Undermine, and we're going to look at all of that today. Now, as far as eye level is concerned, this is a big one here off the bat. I want to say this is not my chart. This is Fisher's Ultimate Gear Guide. I'll try and find a link to their guide and everything down below. All credit to them. There's a handful of things that have changed in S2, and one of the big ones is Crest acquisition and eye level. Raw eye level on gear from lower Mythic Plus keys. Now keep in mind, M Plus has changed a bit in S2, difficulty-wise, affix-wise, but Runed Crest, basically being the equivalent of Heroic Crest from this tier, I mean they are, and Gilded Crest are going to be much easier to acquire. So looking at this middle section here, dungeons, right? As far as M0 is concerned, baseline M0 loot is going to be 636. That's basically equal to what you're getting currently on retail right now running the Mythic Raid, right? There is actually a large jump when it comes to eye level this tier. If you're looking at what I'm wearing right now, if I wasn't wearing, tier gear and things, my gear at max 6 out of 6 is 639 eye level from Nerebar Palace at Mythic level. Looking at Liberation of Undermine, normal gear from the first boss is 636 at champion 1 out of 8. You're looking at higher end normal gear being 645, 655, depending on upgrades. You're looking at a large eye level jump, even just clearing out normal in this raid tier. So Crest, where you're looking at Rune or Guild, or even lesser ones for champion upgrades, are going to be very, very relevant. And obviously looking at Heroic and things as well. Heroic baseline gear from the first boss is 649 eye level at Hero 1 out of 6. End boss loot, rare loot, 665. So there is actually a large jump in eye level this tier comparatively to previous tiers. Looking at Aberrus, Amyrtasil, and things, those runs in normal are going to be even more relevant in a sense for split runs and gearing and things based on raw eye level jump and the creation catalyst, which we'll get to in a minute here. Shifting gears back to the actual eye level chart here. So, like I said, I want to hit on Crest, Rune Crest, and Gilded Crest. Rune Crest being basically your Heroic Crest, this current tier, are the same next tier. They begin to drop at Mythic Plus 2. Mythic Plus 2 also drops 639 eye level gear. But you can acquire these much earlier than you could in Season 1, making gearing much easier. To a similar extent, they also gain more, you gain more per higher key you do. Plus 3 gives you 12, plus 4, 14, 5, 16, so on and so forth. And when you hit that plus 7 threshold, you begin to acquire Gilded Crest from these. Now, on top of getting Gilded Crest from these, your Mythic Crest used for myth gear and all that, right? For crafting and for upgrades, the gear eye level at the end of the dungeon jumps to 649 at plus 6. If you look over here at the conversion chart and upgrade crest in here, you can see Rune Crest being used for higher champion or hero, and Gilded Crest being used for mythic stuff and higher hero. 649, conversion-wise, that is Hero 1 gear. Hero 1 gear begins to drop in plus 6 M plus territory in Season 2, which makes gearing alts or your main early on, later on, much easier and just more enjoyable. On top of getting 649 gear, hero gear, you're going to pull 18 Rune Crests from a plus 6 run if you can time it, which is going to be so much easier for gearing early on, acquiring crests and such before raid, on reset, whatever, when you have that low cap of crests and want to upgrade gear before reclear. Much easier to do now. Now, when it comes to like the actual threshold, what you're looking to do probably for optimizing gear week 1 and week 2 farming M+, plus 7 is likely where you want to be. If you're looking to optimize Gilded Crest and end of dungeon loot being 649. Obviously, you want to get some 10s done, giving you more Gilded Crest, but also that big 662 in the vault, which also converts to being your myth piece. So looking to get plus 10s done, week 1 and beyond for that big myth track item in the vault. But as far as Gilded Crest are concerned, running plus 12 gives you 20, 18 from 11, 16 from 10, 14 from 9, so on and so forth. And this is going to make Crest acquisition from M+ much easier. Now, on top of all this, it's important to keep in mind that when it comes to S2, crafting, Crest, and things has changed a bit. I haven't heard it talked about a whole lot during the last few weeks and such on PTR, but if you're looking at crafting next tier, last year, these actual nascent crests, we're looking at, I think it was 90 or 80. It might have been a bit less, a bit more. It was more than 60, basically, for crafting this mythic eye level gear. It is still 60 for S1 tokens, you want them for whatever reason. But when it comes to next season, Here are your Gilded Undermine Crest. Here are your Ruined Undermine Crest. It is 45 for the Heroic Crafted item, which is 645 to 660 basically, 658. And you're looking at 60 for the actual mythic ones. Now, a cool change from last season to this one is that there's no longer that middleman of finding a scribe or enchanter, whatever it is, to make you the actual crafting crest, which you had to go buy this, find somebody to make the crest for you, then take the crest and put it into the actual crafting pattern and then make the item. It's literally walk to this vendor, grab the crest, throw it into an item, you're good to go. Plus 20 difficulty to recipes versus 100 from before as well. So a bit of a difference there. Nice quality of life for crafting and all that early on. But it's easy to plug and play. You walk over here, 60 crest, bang. It might have actually been 60 last season for this as well. I should check that on retail. But regardless, crafting is easier and crest acquisition is much, much easier in S2. Now, as far as the creation catalyst and things go, if you think back to season 1 of Dragonflight, even more within things, I believe, whenever you were able to acquire that ahead of the curve, if I can find it here in my achievement panel, that ahead of the curve part of, killing Anshrek or I think it was 2100. I think it was 2100 when it came to M+, and PvP had a rank as well. You would get an Omni token in a sense, not the ones that drop from the boss here that you can knee re-roll on. You get an individual token that you could bring to a vendor to buy a tier piece from anywhere. That is unfortunately gone in a sense this coming season. Now, what Blizz has done has it's still sort of relevant, but it takes items from the raid that weren't as big before, like off-tier helms, legs, chests, shoulders, and gloves, and makes them more relevant. Whenever you defeat Gallywix on Heroic or higher, or get a ranking in PvP or Mythic Plus, you'll end up actually getting an achievement, and it gives you a charge of the creation catalyst, whatever it's called here in War Within, that you can use week 1, week 2, whenever you kill that boss. That does not count towards the, I believe, bi-weekly accruing stacks of the catalyst. So instead of going into the raid, and let's say this tier, like Bexy has Pit Doctor's Petticoat, which is a pair of legs, right? For the most part, looking at previous tiers, Petticoat, legs, chest, glove, shoulders, and helm, if they weren't tier pieces, were for the most part just irrelevant. Nobody really wanted them unless you were looking at like maybe catalyzing a piece for your 4-piece. Somebody might off-roll it, or if you wanted to just like a baseline eye level boost for a crest discount. This tier, they're much more relevant because you can take that piece of gear and put it in the catalyst week 1 to supplement your tier pieces. Whether you get 2 pieces of tier from the raid from your guild, or 1 or 3, you can make that 2-piece, make that 4-piece, and or plan out the week after to use your second catalyst charge if you're killing the boss week 1. So you're actually getting fed your 2-piece relatively early on if you look at it from that perspective. Now, I wouldn't go in and burn your catalyst charge on the first helm or pair of legs you acquire. Keep it in your bags and see what your gearing looks like that week. But when it comes to acquiring tier, it's arguably about the same when it comes to acquiring that extra catalyst charge, but it makes items in the raid more relevant. And once again, we're looking at the actual gearing chart here. +6s are giving hero tier or hero gear. So not only are you able to acquire helms or legs or chests, whatever, what have you, from mid-ish M+, +6, +7, you're not put in a position of having to run +10s, whatever, to acquire hero gear like you were in S1. You can run mid-tier keys, pull a chest, and not feel bad about having to catalyze if you get champion piece of gear week 1 or 2 to finish your 2-piece or your 4-piece. And that goes for mains, alts, everything across the board. And once again, crest acquisition looking to be much, much better next year when it comes to just running mid to higher level plus. You can target whatever you want here. And to mention as well, completing an expired keystone will deduct 4 crests in their value in this table. So you're not just getting from a +6, 5 crests for depleting it. You're still getting 14 as far as this is concerned, unless something changes here. So gearing going to be much, much easier next year. But it's important to keep in mind the change to the end boss or M+, ranking for your bonus piece of tier, so on and so forth. Now, I do also very briefly want to hit on delves for S2 because they have also been improved to make acquiring crest easier. The eye level's been increased a bit, and delvers bounty maps have also been made a bit easier to acquire in S2 for delving. Thinking back to the start of War Within, everyone's pushing for those delve maps early on, trying to get one and then get a hero piece at the end of the dungeon. They're back, and they are also easier to acquire. And by end of dungeon, I mean end of delve. Mentioning here on the upshot, even with this limitation, you can earn a limit of 1 per week, you're now much more likely to consistently obtain that 1 compared to previous seasons. So 1 per week, you get it done, set it and forget it. I believe in S1 there was a you can get 2 or 3 or 4. I think the cap is 4 that week, whatever. Now you can use this at tier 4 delves or higher. However, jumping down to the actual reward section here, I want to hit on the actual gearing here. Delver's bounty rewards at 4 are veteran. Champion at 6 and 7, and then at the end here you have hero, and hero at 649. When it comes to like bountiful delver rewards at the end of dungeon without delver's bounty stuff, you're looking at champion gear even at plus 11, which might not be incredibly exciting. But one thing I want to point out here, you do get hero gear from the Great Vault as well, starting at plus 7. Which is nice, from delves and all that. But they have indeed made it so the gilded crest do indeed drop from tier 11 delves or essentially higher. Rune crest dropped at plus 8 to 10, and I believe they've also increased the amount of rune crest you get at the end of each delve. Now, there's like a bit of a clause here saying if you're using a bountiful delve option in tier 6 and 7, you'll get rune crest from those, but without that, it's going to be tiers 8 to 11 giving a rune crest here, and then 11 or higher also gives gilded. So technically you're going to see what it looks like runed and gilded from both 11 or higher in delves, which is nice. And if you choose to use a bountiful delve map in tiers 8 to 11, you'll also get some gilded crests there. So if you're more of a delver, like doing delves on alts and things, you'll once again have the option of getting some hero gear in your vault from doing plus 7s or higher in delves here. Plus 8s or higher will give you hero gear at the end if you choose to use your bountiful map. And when it comes to just running them in general, you're looking at champion gear at the end, but with crest dropping more, or gilded crest dropping in plus 11s, there being more crests the higher you go, whether it's runed, carved, weathered, based on where they drop currently here and in general. Delving looks to also be improved a good bit for S2 as far as gearing mains or alts and just having crest acquisition be more at the forefront of gearing, looking at patch 11.1. Also worth mentioning when it comes to raid loot here, you're looking at a really nice bump here in Gilded Crest as well, similar to Nerimar Palace actually from Silken Court and Shrek. Killing the last 2 bosses gives you both Runed, which you get from Heroic on normal, or from Heroic like normal, but it also gives you Gilded Crest, similar to Silken Court and Shrek. You get a little bit of Gilded Crest, so if you're not really running Mythic a whole lot, but want to get some upgrades coming in on higher hero gear, maybe you just farm Heroic a bunch, you have a myth piece in the vault, you can start getting some Gilded Crest through killing the last 2 bosses on Heroic, then venturing into Mythic, maybe getting, having a little bit more opportunities here and there, but not being left out if you're just doing a 7 out of 8 or, full Heroic clear early on, depending on what your guild does. And that also scales back also as well for normal. The last 2 bosses will give Carved like normal from, difficulty, also giving you Rune Crest in the last 2. And LFR we have Weathered, but also, a handful of Carved Crests from the last 2 bosses as well. So when it comes to gearing in S2, Blizz has made a great jump in quality of life when it comes to gearing mains, gearing alts. Honestly, the Creation Catalyst charge really isn't that bad versus getting a full piece of tier gear if you think about it. Those items from M+, whether it's helm, chest, gloves, shoulders, legs, actually are sort of relevant now because they can be a tier piece, but I would recommend holding on to that catalyst charge if you get it early on to see what happens week 1. If you get any tier from the raid, you can fill in holes, that Monday or that Tuesday on reset with your vault, comparatively to saying, oh cool, I got a helm day 1 of the patch and I killed Antrek or Gallywix day 2 or 3, let's make a helm. Wait and see how your gearing plays out and then make the most informed decision. But if you are struggling in S1 to maintain your sanity with crest grinding and crafted gear costing 90 crests and all that, thankfully S2 looks much, much better. Once again, if you want to link to this or where I found it, which I believe is on Reddit and things, all credit to this person who made this, Fisher's Ultimate Gear Guide, link down below. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, there'll be more coming out like this in this coming week before the patch and into the patch as well for general gearing and just tips and tricks and all that. If you guys liked it, hit the like and sub button below. Helps out a ton. I'll see you later. Peace.